as a Cowboy backer and in the futures market, really good day for the Cowboys to cash those tickets to win the NFC East in comeback fashion. Look, a month ago, I don't think a lot of people saw this happening with the Eagles collapse, losing 5 of their last 6. Cowboys didn't play great football down the stretch. And this is a point I want to bring out before this Packers game here where the Cowboys open as 7. I'm seeing some 7.5s out there at home. Now, in the midst of this Eagle collapse, which really kind of took the focus away from Dallas, Cowboys did not play a very good offensive game in Buffalo. They did not play a really good offensive game in Miami. They did not play a really good offensive game against Detroit. Now, they got back on the good footing today against the Commanders. And I think that's why Mike McCarthy played the starters a little bit longer than maybe you and I were texting, that we would have pulled them a little bit sooner. But I think Mike wanted to get some continuity back.
Yeah.
I will say, for my money, 88's the best receiver in football. I know Tyreek Hill and all that. I'm saying this year he's had the best year. CeeDee Lamb has been almost unstoppable. Another massive game today against the Commanders. Is it as simple as Dak and CeeDee and anything you get stuff from Pollard and you get stuff from whether it's Gallup or Ferguson or that's all gravy. But really, the Packers have to figure out a way to stop 88. And if they can't, like other teams haven't, they're not going to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, we talked about unders have been getting bet in some of these playoff games. Not so with Green Bay and Dallas. It's pretty much holding steady at 49.5, and I think for good reason. Cowboys obviously super explosive at home, and you mentioned that cat CeeDee Lamb. Who had a big day today, 13 catches for 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. The tight ends, Jake Ferguson has really been a weapon. Cooks, I think, has kind of come into his own. We know that they can run the ball. Okay, Pollard 17 for 70 and a touchdown today. Dak did throw the one pick, but other than that, he was pretty damn flawless. 31 of 36 and 4 touchdowns today. Now, I do think the Dallas Cowboy defense, as much talent as they have, they can be had, because here's the thing with Dallas's defense, what Dan Quinn's defense has. They rely solely on pressuring the quarterback. If they get to the quarterback, then it's tough for the other team. But if you don't get consistent pressure, they give up chunk plays, Dallas, and you've seen it all year.
Yep.
They can give up chunk plays. Green Bay's offensive line actually pretty darn good in terms of pass protection, only 5th in the league, 5th best in adjusted sack rate. Look, the Cowboys, when they play a good offense, and I don't consider the Commanders in Week 18 a good offense, against like what I would call formidable offenses, and I think Green Bay, you got to consider them that now with how Jordan Love has emerged. Cowboys giving up a little less than 26 a game. That's a lot. And to cover that number, that means that they're going to have to score 34, if they hold to the average. So this has gone through the 7, though. This has gone to 7.5, because I think we know Green Bay's defense, even though they've been banged up, they might have had their best 2 efforts of the year.
It's the biggest surprise. And look, as somebody that was heavily invested in the Packers, over win total 7.5, which looked like it wasn't going to get there. Then it looked like a lock. Then it looked like it wasn't. And then it did get over with the last 2 wins. And somebody at plus $1.75 to make the playoffs. I've really been watching the Packers closely. And Joe Barry's defense gave up 30 points to Carolina 3 weeks ago. Carolina didn't score the rest of the year. Think of that.
Right.
They got shut out in their last 2 games. And since that performance, they benched Jair Alexander because he came out for the coin toss in that game against Carolina.
Right.
Bizarre. They have played much better defense. And I've watched that Minnesota game in primetime last week. I watched today's game
Only
against the Bears.
Only gave up 192 total yards today to the Bears, who Justin Fields been playing pretty solid
they
football.
Been playing good offense.
And the Bears couldn't run the ball. 25 carries for 75 yards. Justin Fields got sacked 5 times today. Didn't turn the ball over, but still only 11 of 16 for 117 net yards passing.
Justin Fields 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a much maligned defense. They're starting to get pressure. So, like, I know it's dicey, and I don't know how much pressure they're going to bring if they try to play soft zone against Dak.
Right.
But you better get some pressure in there because that's what's really turned them around.
Yeah, you can't because Dak will pick you apart underneath. Packers, by the way, very good on third down today. They were 3 of 11 on offense. They were 7 of 10. So this is the best I've seen the Packers. I think Aaron Jones finally healthy.
Yes.
And I think that makes a big difference. 22 carries for 111 yards today. I believe he also caught 5 passes out of the backfield. So, yeah, at first glance, and I think there's an 8 here, one place in town, the win, but it's basically 7.5. Look a little high to you? I know you're a Cowboys guy, but
it looks too high to me. Look, I'm paranoid about every game.
Right. I mean, but putting aside your fandom.
It feels high. And the point is, watching Jordan Love, I pun intended, I love watching that kid play football. And look, you're always going to get the comparisons to Rodgers and Favre because that's who you played there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he does have more Rodgers in that he throws from weird angles. He throws off his back leg, and he's got arm strength to do these things. And he did another one of those today for a touchdown, right? So they've got a bunch of young receivers. And sometimes, what's the old saying? You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
They're going to go in there like, what do we have to lose? We're 7.5-point dogs. They're the team that's got all the pressure on them.
Pressure is on Dallas because it's like, okay, this NFC, even though I think San Francisco is clearly the best team, but after that, it is wide open.
Yeah.
It is, and you're the number 2 seed, but you got to get through this before you get a chance to go into the next round and then eventually get a rematch in San Francisco. But, yeah, Dallas, I know they've been such a wagon at home, but against Detroit – when they could not get away.
No.
They couldn't get away from the Lions.
Now, again, I don't know that they've got the Packers have somebody like Aiden Hutchinson who really gave Steele all he could handle at left tackle.
And speaking of that, on the offensive line, did Tyler Smith and Zach Martin go today? They're listed as questionable for next week.
Zach did. I don't believe Tyler did.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem for that offensive line, which is now getting injuries. Again, everybody's got injuries. Nobody's going to cry for you on that. That's why they signed La'el Collins. If you see La'el Collins going in the game, you know there's problems for the Cowboys at this stage of the season. So if the Packers can pressure without blitzing, they can stay in this game. Really, it does feel like a shootout to me. I would be surprised if this game is low scoring. Like, it might stay under the total because it's such a high total. But I'd be surprised if we're looking at a 2017 game.
Yeah, it feels
like a game in the 20s to me.
It does because Dallas is just so explosive and they can generate chunk plays, but they give up chunk plays.
Yep.
And I understand why this total is at 49.5.
Yeah, that would be my lean. I would stay away from the side. I would look to the over right now in that total because I do think we're going to get points. And again, I'm really impressed with Jordan Love and that complement of young receivers. And Christian Watson didn't go again today.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're trying to get him ready and see. I mean, obviously, if he could have played, he would have. But if that kid comes back to next week, because he's been week to week, man, they got a lot of weapons all of a sudden.
Tough covers. Stephon Gilmore, by the way, left today with an injury.
Not good.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.